Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Criminally Focused. Whether you are new to my channel or a returning viewer, I am so happy you found me. On Criminally Focused, I take true crime cases and tell you the facts, the theories, and in the end, my opinion. Today, we'll be talking about a 2016 deadly house fire that claimed the lives of 4 innocent children, and the very confusing arson investigation that followed. Sound familiar? Don't worry if it doesn't. This is a case that, in my opinion, hasn't gotten the attention that it not only deserves, but needs. If you're an avid true crime viewer, you may know that Indiana has multiple unsolved murder cases. If you look through YouTube, you will find many videos of the mystery behind the Bridge Guy or the Delphi murders and the Evansdale murders. Cases such as the Delphi case seem to attract more attention through media and law enforcement, in my opinion. I have multiple videos on my channel on YouTube that go over the Delphi case, so you are welcome to check those out. That is a case that I also hold close to my heart. And if you want me to cover the Evansdale murders and how these 3 cases could be linked, let me know in the comments below. I'd be happy to do so. All right, guys, so enough rambling. Let's jump into it. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night from a deep sleep, comfortable yet immediately aware something is horribly wrong. The smell of smoke hits your lungs as your reality begins to come to focus. Your bedroom is dark, yet you're aware of a thick cloud of smoke that is beginning to swarm over your head. This is the moment you realize your house is on fire. Immediately, you think about your children who are asleep in their rooms. The children you just kissed goodnight and tucked safely into bed just hours prior are now your only priority. Not knowing how bad the fire is, you stumble forward, determined to get your children. The thick wall of smoke around you makes it impossible to see your surroundings. You have to rely on your memories and knowledge of the floor plan as you make your way through the home. At this point, your eyes and your lungs are burning from the smoke. Your lungs threaten to seize up with every breath you take. As you get closer to the flames, your skin begins to burn from the heat. The fire is burning so intensely, you can't make it to your children. They are trapped, and your only chance of saving them is to get help. But what happens when that help isn't enough? What happens when neighbors, police, and firefighters are just too late and the fire is just too big? This is what happened to Galen Rose and her 4 daughters. Take a look at these faces and say their names: Kiana, Kiara, Cariel, and Keone. Remember the story that I am about to tell you. So Flora, Indiana is a tiny town. And when I say tiny, I mean tiny. Guys, it's barely 1 square mile long, and at the time of the fires, there was only 2,000 people, roughly, that lived there. The family moved to Flora, Indiana to be closer to family. They moved into the home located at 103 East Columbia Street and stayed in half the house, while other tenants lived in the other half. The home is situated on the corner of the street next to downtown Flora. Galen's bedroom, along with the kitchen, living room, and dining room, were located on the first floor. The girls' room was located on the second floor. Kiana Davis, Kiara Phillips, Cariel McDonald, and Keone Welsh were known and loved throughout the Flora community. The girls were members of the Lafayette Cheer Squad and loved it. According to a Fox 59 interview with the girls' mother, Galen said the girls loved cheerleading. She said, "I worked very hard for them cheerleading outfits. I mean, I worked from sun up till sundown. They loved practice. They loved their coach, and they loved getting off the bus knowing they had cheerleading practice." The girls were always laughing and dancing, brightening their community around them. They were known by many in Flora as happy and well taken care of. The girls' mother, Galen, was 25 at the time of the fire, and she was also known by many in town, as people said she was friendly and loved talking about her daughters. So the weekend leading up to the fire was your typical busy weekend for Galen and her daughters. Saturday, the girls attended a cheerleading competition, and then on Sunday, they went to Kiana's basketball game. After the basketball game, they went grocery shopping, went home, ate dinner, got ready for bed. At around 10 p.m., Galen and the girls went to bed, not knowing this would be the last time they would see each other. According to Fox 59, the last words that Galen remembers saying to her daughters were, "I love you, good night, and I'll see you in the morning." Unfortunately, we know that wouldn't be the case. So Monday, November 21st, 2016, Galen woke up to smoke at approximately 3:30 a.m. The first call to 911 came dispatch around 3:35, approximately. Now I say approximately because the full 911 calls haven't been publicly released. Galen woke up. She said that she immediately ran to go get her girls. She made it halfway up the stairs, but had to turn back because of a lack of oxygen. She couldn't breathe. So she ran outside to the front yard and began screaming hysterically to the girls and to neighbors for help. Some neighbors were reported to step in for help, and other neighbors prayed on their front yard, just praying that God would save those girls. First to arrive on the scene were officers Drew Yoder and Josh Dissinger. The officers attempted to enter the home several times, getting deeper inside with each try. On their final attempt, Officer Yoder, who was disoriented from the smoke and the lack of oxygen, actually ended up passing out inside the home, only to be pulled out to safety by Officer Dissinger.
Hesitation, we both entered inside the residence 3 different times. There was little fear in my mind. The only thing that was going through it was that there were 4 little girls inside the residence that were needing our help. Never stopped trying. We went inside, came back out for air, went back in, came back out, each time getting farther and farther inside. The 3rd time is when things went bad.
Yoder was severely injured trying to save all 4 girls who died from smoke inhalation. After waking up in the hospital days later, he learned the tragic news.
When I was told the 4 little girls did not make it, my heart sank to my stomach.
While he mourned the girls' lives, he gained strength through all those who reached out to him during his recovery. That includes the man who saved his life.
Flora Officer Josh Dysinger, thank you. You, my friend, are my hero.
When he was safe and in the ambulance, Drew wrote Josh a note. "You saved my life, Josh." Once the firefighters arrived on the scene and were able to get to the girls, it was too late. 4 little bodies were taken from the house on stretchers. According to Galen, the ambulance man told me that my babies were no longer here, and after that, I don't remember nothing. Immediately after receiving the news, Galen was sedated and airlifted to the hospital. She ended up being treated for several days in a burn unit. Officer Yoder also had to be airlifted to the hospital, and he was treated for smoke inhalation and burns to his hands and face. Officer Dissinger was treated at a local hospital and able to go home later that night. The tenants living on the other side of the duplex were unharmed during the fire. The girls, however, weren't so lucky. The coroner ruled each girl's death was accidental and said they had died from asphyxiation. So the days, weeks, months, years following this fire are filled with a lot. There's a lot of corruption and a lot of mixed messages from authority. This is the timeline I created to help you better understand the 2 years following the fire. It goes from November 21st, 2016 until January 2018. I know it's a lot of information, but don't worry, we're going to go over it. In the days following the fire, Fire Marshal Dennis Randall said the fire was undetermined and was pending a review from a structural engineer. A structural engineer would need to come out to the property and access the damage done by the fire. They would do this by looking at several things such as steel, concrete, and wood. Things would be quiet for about 2 months until January 28th, 2017. Dennis Randall sent out a press release saying that the fire was now determined to be arson and that several accelerants were found throughout the home. Just weeks later, however, a private investigator sent an email to the fire chief. When he received no response, he reached out to the Indiana Department of Homeland Security. In the emails, the Michigan Certified Fire Investigator stated the conclusions of their investigation are not correct and based on speculation and not evidence. The press release statement about accelerants being found in several locations is absolutely not based on any evidence discovered at the scene during the investigation. and the investigator, Dennis Randall, was not performing a proper origin and cause investigation based on the current procedures. A week later, the same private investigator followed up yet again. He mentioned also leaving voicemails for the Flora Fire Department multiple times. This time, he copied Dennis Randall and 8 other Indiana Department of Homeland Security fire investigators. In May, the Department of Homeland Security steps in and rules the fire arson as well. However, nothing more was being mentioned about the emails and the questions that had come up about the way Randall handled the investigation.
Well, we first took those scathing emails to the superintendent of the state police a week ago. They were sent from a private arson investigator from Michigan to the director of the Department of Homeland Security, the state fire marshal, and 13 investigates. We spoke with the investigator who wrote them, and while he declined to elaborate, Superintendent Doug Carter vowed to get to the bottom of it. The superintendent was stunned when he read the words for himself for the first time. So were you aware that there were questions being raised about Dennis Randall's handling of the evidence and investigation into the actual cause and origin of the fire?
I was not. I don't know about this, but I'll find out about this.
Told 13 investigates Randall's release of his arson findings were premature. Carter was equally concerned about an internal email from a DHS staff member telling Randall to wait to make that information public. We also learned Randall put out the release without informing any other investigators on this case. And Warren County prosecutor, meanwhile, has asked that all investigating agencies refrain from talking further about this case, but we will be staying on it.
Shortly after, it was released that Randall's wife was actually being investigated for embezzlement. She was using the money supposedly to pay her mortgage, credit card bill. But they did look further into this, and according to their investigation, Dennis Randall had no idea.
An arson investigator who determined the fire that killed 4 little girls was intentionally set has quit his job at the Department of Homeland Security.
This was followed by several other resignations, including Adam Randall and the Carroll County prosecutor, Robert Ives. Both Randall and Ives said they were stepping down for personal issues. However, I tend to think it was more of a direct result from those emails sent in February. Finally, in December of 2018, the Indianapolis State Police requested that a peer review be completed by the Indianapolis Fire Department. The review was finished by January 2018. Understand that a peer review isn't a reinvestigation. It's just actually looking into the investigation that was already done. In this review, they would use eyewitness reports from people such as neighbors, firefighters, and officers that were on the scene the night of the fire. The findings from the peer review? Well, they ruled also that the fire was arson. However, accelerants were only found in one part of the home. All right, guys, so that's the timeline of the Flora fire. This video is getting a little bit long, so I think I'm gonna break it into 2 parts. In part 2, we will go over some more bumps in the road that this case has faced, as well as a lawsuit and the theories behind what possibly could have happened. And then, of course, my opinion. So as of now, this investigation remains unsolved. 4 beautiful, innocent children lost their lives, and a mother and community will never be the same again.
Miss them. I cry that I'm not the same no more. It's not the same without them.
I was hoping it was a nightmare. I mean, it is a nightmare, but I was just hoping I'd wake up and it wouldn't be true.
Yes, you know.
I love Flora.
I know you do. I know you do. I know you do.
Tracy Rose was their grandfather.
It's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow.
Members of the girls' cheer teams out of Lafayette traveled to Flora Tuesday evening to mourn this horrific loss.
It's awful. It's not, I mean, this is something that changes you forever. We will never be the same. We're not just a team, we're a family. And these girls were everything.
Literally, were the children that you wanted your kids to be around.
Oh, and I almost forgot, but I just wanted to give a big shout out to the Flora 4 Reddit page. If you need information regarding this case, definitely be sure to check them out. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Until next time, stay safe.